I do wish I was on that plane and didn't severe any injury, because you would see a boy with the bag.
But I'll tell you one thing. I don't think I'll ever go on the plane again after that.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing where the money can come in, because emotional, traumatic, never gonna travel, gotta take the train all the time.
But that's the thing, right? Because like, I'm already not a big fan of flying.
So if I flipped, we're out of here. Because imagine you fall out the cabin, bang your head. Buddy, you're all twisted upside down.
You're sweating.
Your heart's beating.
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
You're hysterical.
You're stuck. The oxygen mask comes out. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You never paid attention once for the emergency classes.
I don't even know how some of these guys were recording coming out.
Yeah,
man.
some people are recording.
They upside down. They pop the thing down and they come out. They got their phone out.
You're all messed up, buddy.
And we back at it again. God damn it, man. We didn't have a chance to do a podcast last week because we got hit by 2 goddamn snowstorms. Could you imagine? In 1 week, I haven't seen this in maybe, God damn it, maybe 10 years. I can't recall the last time I actually was in a snowstorm that hit me, hit the country, hit the city 2 times in a row. Like, we didn't even have enough time to digest the first snowstorm. Like, people were still cleaning off their vehicles, trying to dig it out. Yeah. And then the other one just came, smack, pat, put us right back to ground one.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Like I said, I never seen that in I can't even remember. Last time I seen like back-to-back snow days like that. Yeah, 25 centimeters first day. I think 25 centimeters. Then
25 to 35. That's what they said.
25 to 35. Yeah, but total is like 50 centimeters of snow. So like people were jammed. They're jammed in the parking spots. Obviously, if you're street parking, this is Toronto, by the way, so it was just crazy out here. And obviously, driving was just bad. Everything was bad overall. Horrendous. And it happened to be Valentine's Day around that time.
Yes.
Or Valentine's Day weekend, at least.
That weekend, yes.
It happened that weekend because I remember, I think it started around the Friday, was it?
No, it started on the Saturday.
Oh, Saturday.
So Saturday, 11:30. So if you were trying to do something for Valentine's Day, you had time to go do what you need to do and, do your dinners or whatever, have a good time and whatnot. Okay. So it was just a brace before the storm. And then they were saying that the snow was supposed to hit at 12 noon, but it didn't even waste any time. 11:30, you started seeing those snowflakes coming down.
Yeah, then it built up from that point.
It built up. Not even an hour into it, the roads were getting bad. I was outside at the time because I was doing I was running some errands and stuff of that sort. It went from like, I think within, I would say 35 minutes, you can see the buildup of the snow. Like you can see the roads are starting to get bad. Okay. And by the time I was coming home, you knew it was going to be something serious coming.
Okay, that's true. So you being, living in China for those 4 years that you were there, what would you say you prefer? Because I know where you lived in Shenzhen was it was coastal, so you're by the water, and they have a lot of like monsoon seasons and stuff like that. So
tropical, yeah.
And when I went there with you, they had torrential storms, right? Where it'd be raining in an instant. That water would be, again, I don't know in centimeters how much it would be, but your whole foot would be lodged in, right? Hard to drive a bike, hard to get on the vehicles, all that type of stuff. So what would you say was worse? Like that at its peak, monsoon season, and having, I guess, typhoons and stuff like that, compared to snowstorms and like being in Canada?
No snowstorm can compare to any monsoon season in my world or in my books.
No snowstorm can compare?
No way. No way. Because you have to understand, rain is just water. At the end of the day, they can dry and stuff of that sort. Snow makes the whole city messy after the fact.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So not only does it make it messy, it makes it hard for people to park.
Okay.
People's cars are lodged, so you have to dig it out. So you have to shovel. You got to wipe the snow off the vehicle. So a snowstorm comes with so much more than just the snow. A typhoon comes mainly with just the water, just the rain, something of that sort. Although sometimes it's going to leave some destruction in terms of like breaking down trees, damaging certain areas, stuff of that sort, and people will have to, fix that and, reconstruct it and stuff of that sort. Hopefully you're in a good country that's able to reconstruct it quickly, and then you won't have to worry about that. But I would take any monsoon season any day, anytime, rather than taking a snowstorm.
Yeah, another reason you probably want to move out the city. If you hate snowstorms and you don't like to shovel, clean your car up, defrost your car, warm up the car, everything that comes with it, yeah, you might want to relocate. I'll tell you that much. But speaking on that weekend, I do want to speak about, obviously, Valentine's Day. Obviously, everyone knows about that day. Lots of women and men participate in this holiday. But I did want to ask the question, when it comes to these commercial holidays, which I call them, because for me, it doesn't have significant meaning to it or meaning behind it. I don't even know what Valentine stands for. So is that someone's name? Like, I don't know what Valentine's is.
I don't know the story. I don't know the story completely. I do know it is coming from the Romans, and it started off with love letters. Okay. I can't really tell you verbatim like the actual story behind it, but that was where initially
originated. Where was it, like a European holiday?
Yeah, European holiday for Romans.
Oh, okay, so this is from the Roman times.
This is from the Roman times.
Okay, priest. Okay,
priest.
Okay, Valentine's. I guess it ties into. So I guess the Christian faith. Correct?
I was under the
Christianity.
Faith.
So maybe there's significance in the.
No, it just started at a smaller scale too.
Okay,
like it wasn't all this other extra stuff that we're seeing.
Yeah, is commercialized.
Yes.
Okay,
so they took the holiday. They took the holiday, and they made it into a more commercial base holiday, commercialized, so they could capitalize. Because we're in a capitalist system. So anything that you could capitalize off, they're going to capitalize off.
Actually, that makes sense. Capitalist, capitalize.
Exactly. That's what you do, right?
So when it comes to commercial holidays, why do you believe so many adults still abide by commercial holidays?
So what I notice about adults is that we're already programmed. So we get this programming at a young age. I would say young adolescents. I would say even like when you're a child, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So year after year, when you see these commercials, people talk about it when you're in school, whether it's the teachers or the students, and they tell you about certain holidays and how things are supposed to go. That programming goes into you,
100%.
Right? You take that programming and you apply it to your lifestyle. You don't ask the question. There's no critical thinking that goes on, and asking the question, where did this holiday come from? Why are we doing this? What's the significant value of it? Yeah, it's only when you hit a stage of abstract thought or critical thinking when you start asking the questions. Sometimes, and this is not for everybody. Yes. People that want to be a thinker will stop and think and figure out. Wait, hold on. I got Google. I got all these resources. Let me go and check out what this holiday represents and why I should partake in it.
Or not, yeah.
Or not. Most people don't do that.
Kind of like Thanksgiving.
Yes, exactly. So they just do it.
Know the history of it?
Yes.
You might change your mind about what the
Halloween
means to you. Halloween
same thing,
as well.
Christmas, these holidays, they all have a storyline behind it, but a lot of people don't. The thing is, a lot of people are lazy. So they want to be spoon-fed rather than going out and taking a spoon out their mouth and feeding themselves.
Okay, that makes sense.
So because of that, a lot of the times they're just gonna go with what they know, and they're gonna do what everybody else does. Okay. So monkey see, monkey do, and that's exactly why they continue to do these traditions over and over and over again. For those that figure out, what, let me just stop, look around, think, why am I doing certain things? Those people may not partake in it. And that's because they finally took a step, or they took the initiative to see what was really going on.
It's funny, it's interesting speaking on that, because again, another reason why people partake in a lot of these holidays is because of the expectations that come with it.
Yes.
Or that come with when you don't partake, right? There's expectations, or there's I guess you can say
Consequences.
Yeah, you can say consequence if you don't partake. And I think people maybe don't want to be on that side and be ostracized and pushed to the side and be like, oh, he's such a, this person's, they always want to be different and stuff like that. So people get criticized a lot. And I remember I was discussing it, about, I was talking to someone about Valentine's and I was saying like, yeah, it's not something I believe in. To me, it's a commercial holiday, like not to preach to anybody, but like I have my own beliefs, right? And I shouldn't be shamed into not thinking what I want to think. A lot of the time we don't give our opinion because we feel like people are going to shame us and be, oh, you're cheap, oh, you're not thoughtful, or whatever they want to accuse you of. But at the end of the day, we all have our own opinions on things, right? And if it doesn't make sense to you, why are you partaking in it? I'm under the belief if I don't understand what I'm doing, I stop doing it because it doesn't make sense to me. It's not logical. And a lot of the times I'm pragmatic. I do things that make sense, right? Like I do things that kind of 1 + 1 = 2. In certain situations, I don't have maybe those defined principles. I have to think outside the box, obviously for taking risk and these type of things. But for something like a day where, to me, what's promoted usually is that the woman's going to receive gifts. She's going to, get wine and dine, receive some gifts, flowers or some gestures, time spent, money spent. You know how that goes. But at the same time, I remember I was mentioning it to someone. I'm like, I don't really believe in it. And he's like, damn, how are you getting away with that? All right. So they know about
Actually, a lot of people say that when you do say, I don't believe in that, they always say, well, try and tell that to my woman.
Or they give you like props. They're like, oh man, like, I wish I was you. I wish I could get away with that.
Yes.
And stuff of that nature. So I know it is a cultural thing and depending what society you're in. But like, again, if you come from different cultures, different backgrounds, I feel like that's not going to apply to you regardless. Like, if you're not used to that, why would you apply that? So that's why I say there's no significance to it. Do what you need to do on your day-to-day. Or make a day that you need to do certain things that, is showing how much you mess with somebody or how much you appreciate somebody. But like I said, I don't think you need a designated day by any stretch of the word. So I'm a guy that doesn't deal with, I don't take into account the criticisms that come with certain decisions I make. I mean, I think as an adult, you get to the point where you stop caring about the masses.
That is correct.
You start to think individually, because realistically, when you're in your situation, you're the only one that has to deal with the criticism. And usually criticism is only going to come with the person you're from. If they're okay with it and they don't make a big deal out of it, you should always let the outside opinions be outside opinions.
Yes, no, I completely agree with that. I think a lot of people are still very tribal.
Yes, 100%.
So if your tribe is basically doing certain things, you're going to want to partake in it, or else they may criticize the actions that you're doing. Because if everyone in the group is doing it and they're discussing what they've done for their girl or their significant other, then, not even that you feel necessarily left out, somebody might just point out the fact that you didn't do anything.
Yes,
right?
I guess that's what kills you.
That's what kills you, really.
Yeah,
really
someone's going to mention it.
Yes.
Even if they don't believe in it.
Or they're going to influence your significant other. So even if your significant other is like on the same wavelength with you.
They're going to be, no, you deserve this.
Yeah, exactly. So now you ruined everything. Now you ruined everything because we were good and now you came in here poisoning their mind.
Yeah.
And now
muddy the waters. 100%.
Yes, exactly. So now we got to deal with a whole situation and now I go home, they're yelling at me, and now an argument breaks out because somebody influenced them.
But I guess this goes for anything in life. Like even if you're like, obviously we're now jumping, taking a turn now. But like, say for example, if you're married or not. Like say for example, you're in a long-term relationship, right?
Yeah.
The criticism of being in a long-term relationship, people are gonna say, "Oh, this guy should marry you. He should marry you. He should marry you." And a lot of the times, the outside influence is what's gonna ruin that current thing. Because even if it's going by good, people are gonna put their own expectations based on their own sense of traditionalism, right?
Yeah.
So if they believe in marriage and you've been with a guy for 5, 6, 7 years, they're gonna be criticizing, the man that's not proposed to you yet, or they're gonna try to influence the woman to pressure the guy.
Yes.
And they won't let that naturally play out how it plays out. They're gonna be trying to, put in their own opinion on your relationship. So a lot of the times this does happen where outside influence is always gonna put their 2 cents in your situation,
which
and
sways
it could be
your own situation,
and
right?
you could have been fine in your situation.
Exactly.
Your situation could have been perfect.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about advice, though. We have to kind of even discuss, like, how do you know which advice to take? Because your life is different than someone else's life that's giving you that advice.
So before we jump onto that, I just wanted to elaborate more on the last part you were talking about.
Outside influence?
No, when you're talking about just marriage and like people influencing. Yeah, just influencing that aspect of it. So I wanted to ask you, for like somebody that's in a relationship, or is it, if you're with a person for a certain amount of time, right? Whether it's 2 years, 3 years, and it's been continuous, would it be considered a situationship, or would it be considered a relationship? How do you define that when you're with a person for a long, significant amount of time?
It's a relationship. If you've been with them for a long period of time, it depends. I'll say this much.
How do you define that?
Okay, that's interesting, because I think when you're with somebody for a long, it's hard to say. You can be in a situationship that lasts several years. So some people are in situationships where there's not much communication.
Okay.
It's just more of a sexual encounter, like, to get a release off on both ends. Both of you guys maybe enjoy each other. Every time you guys get time off, you guys like the dynamic. You guys have that sexual compatibility. You have a trust factor.
Okay.
You have all those things in place, right? So that could last long.
So it's a level of safety.
So to me, that would be like a situationship, because you guys know it's like in this specific situation, you guys are going to be doing your thing.
Okay.
But if something else pops up, like maybe like there's no rules in terms of, if the one person can go, entertain other people, or vice versa. They both sides can go entertain other people. There's no rules in place. There's no checking in every moment. Where are you tonight? And all that type of thing. I think that's when it's going to be considered a situationship, where a relationship is going to include certain things of meeting up with mutual friends, so like introducing them to your friend circles. Potentially family members know of this person, know of their existence. In my opinion, if your family members know about the existence, you're in a relationship with that person.
Okay.
If the family members have met that person, you're in a relationship with that person, because there'd be no need for them to meet them if you weren't in a relationship.
Okay.
There's no point to bring a situationship to your parents.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It wouldn't make sense, because your parents are going to inquire, where is this headed? Etc. etc. So you would know to yourself, I'm only going to bring a woman I'm in a relationship with to meet my parents, because that shows a level of seriousness to a certain degree, or a level of comfortability to a certain degree, that if your parents ask, who are you with, they know who you're with, correct? So I think it's more about how much personal allowance is in your relationship, like how much like personal information and how much things you know about that person. You can be talking to a person for years or sleeping with the person for years. If they don't know that much about your personal life, in terms of where you live, what you do, your day-to-day, if they're not too fond or don't know that much about that, it can just call it a situationship. So I'd say situationships have less information given most of the times, where a relationship is like more open-ended, where you know a lot about a person, you've met their family, you've met their friends, you've kind of, ingratiated yourself in their lifestyle to a certain degree. I think a situationship, even if they're the same amount of time, I think time spent in a relationship would probably be a lot more than time spent in a situationship. I think it'd be more sparse. You'd meet up here and there, not as consistently.
That's interesting, because it's a 2-part question. Now, if you're in a situationship and you've been with that person for a number of years, do you guys share gifts together, or do you just continue the relationship how it is?
I think when you're in a situationship, the process can change with time, right?
Okay.
I'm not saying a situationship can't turn into a relationship, or the two things can get, or the two thins aren't able to get like confused. I think some people, when you're in a situationship, there's typically one person that really wants to be in a relationship, and then there might be one person that doesn't really care to be in a relationship, is more indifferent. Or maybe you get both of them that are indifferent. Usually those ones are the best because you guys both know it's just like a friends with benefits. I'll just put you in that category. But like I said, when it comes to situationship and a relationship, it's like I said, it's mainly going to be for what information you're giving out. And like I said, you can confuse the two. The reason why they can get confused, because in a relationship, there's certain things you do. Obviously, you abide by certain rules and conducts. You have to be a little more thoughtful because the expectations are higher, especially if you ask somebody to be your girl. They expect a certain
your level of
responsibility, respect, and stuff like that. So one thing I would say is, like, if you're in a relationship, obviously, you know, you're not really entertaining, or you're not supposed to be entertaining other women. Where if you're in a situationship, no one can tell you not to entertain other women, because you're gonna say, hey, we're not together. Even though we spend time together, we're technically not together. So technically I can search for what I truly want if you're not what I truly want. But sometimes you get lost in that understanding because that person doesn't tell you that fact. So if I'm in a situationship and I don't mention, hey, we're just having fun for now, like I'm still dating and seeing other people, then that person can be under the impression that we're headed towards a relationship.
Okay.
So that's why I said you can be in a situationship where someone's relationship minded and the other person's situationship minded, and they collaborate where you're getting your cake and eating it, but the other person doesn't want that kind of situation. So they're sticking around to see potentially if something would change. And if it doesn't change, then they have the choice to leave or not. Where the person that's just thinking the situationship, he's just saying, well, it'll run its course. When it runs its course, I'll jump ship and do what I need to do. That's how I see the different dynamics of a situationship versus a actual relationship.
Okay, that's very interesting.
There's no rules. There's no parameters. So you're allowed to behave how you want to behave in terms of talking to other people or engaging with other people, doing your own thing. The responsibility is not there. So a lot of people like that type of thing because you can have your cake and eat it too.
Interesting.
So I wanted to get into this because we were just talking about Valentine's Day. So I was talking to someone and they mentioned, did you hear of Steak and Blowjob Day?
Never heard of that.
Yeah, so apparently this is a day that like these guys in America made. And
how long ago now did they make it?
I don't know, but it's not an official holiday. It's just one of these things like, but they've made it into a thing apparently in America where these guys must have came up with a bunch of men obviously came up with this idea to combat Valentine's Day, because as we said, Valentine's Day usually are reserved for a woman. They made this day for men, which is exactly a month after Valentine's Day. It's March 14th. And pretty much, yeah, it's as the word says, steak and blowjob. So pretty much your girl makes you a steak and then followed with a little fellatio.
So are you getting the fellatio while you're eating the steak? Or
hey man, you can get it any which way you want, buddy. Any which way you want. That's up to the man's discretion.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was hilarious when I seen that. Someone mentioned that to me. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
I'm sure a lot of the boys will enjoy that for sure.
Oh, of course. Why not?
I mean, what man wouldn't enjoy that?
Hey, we're giving flowers, chocolates, and dates, so it's only rightfully so how I see it. But yeah, it's just funny, you know. Men love to combat women when it comes to these type of things, so I just found it pretty hilarious.
That's interesting.
Trying to get their date too, so you know, let's make it official, guys. Let's make it official real soon.
Well, now switching gears, let's talk about that whole situation with the Delta
Airlines. Delta Airlines. Yes.
Oh,
so
man,
recently, I think this is about a week ago.
Yep.
The Delta plane was landing at Pearson Airport in Toronto, and actually,
can you imagine Toronto
landing? Yes,
Toronto, right where we're
Shout
from.
out to the six. Yeah,
God damn it.
It basically crash landed. I guess like a tailwind or something might have hit the plane. I don't know.
No,
exactly.
They're saying they hit the tarmac. Tarmac was slippery.
Oh,
they didn't clean it because of the winter storm that happened.
Oh, so
yeah. So the
lucky.
winter storm, tarmac wasn't cleaned properly, and then it flipped upside down.
Okay, so
Because
I
when it hit the ground, when it hit the
different
ground.
stories. I mean, there's probably lots
of stories.
Lots of different. Then there's a tailwind, slippery tarmac.
Yeah.
It just had a snowstorm, as we were just talking about, which is hilarious because it's a big story. So pretty much 21 people got injured. The actual plane flipped upside down, caught on fire, flame erupted from like the fuel engine. And pretty much, everyone survived.
But it didn't explode.
Yeah, surprisingly, it didn't explode. And surprisingly, no one got
extremely injured. Yes.
Only 2 people were critically injured. I think it was a younger.
They said 17 people got injured, and then I guess 2.
I heard 21. The story keeps changing.
Oh, keeps changing. Okay, broken telephone out here, guys.
I heard 2. You know how news works. But anyways, 2 got injured severely. Or critical condition, which means a whole bunch of things. You need to know the medical terminology.
Yeah.
But again, Delta flipped, the plane flipped, and guess what that means for those passengers? Lawsuit, you guessed it.
Hello.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
Exactly. So pretty much Delta, after this plane debacle, the plane flip debacle, Delta has offered all passengers $30K in a no strings attached gesture. What that means is $30K and you shut up and walk away. That's all there is to it.
That's a joke.
You broke your back? Well, hopefully $30K can fix it.
Yeah, that's a joke just because they're not factoring in the psychological effect of being in a plane that flipped upside down, which potentially you could have lost your life.
Absolutely.
Right? So
trauma.
The trauma that you've suffered, some of those people will never ride a plane again in their life.
Yes.
And they don't factor that in. $30K is not gonna that doesn't do nothing for you. That doesn't even cover a whole year.
But in this economy, considering how expensive things are, and mind you, if you get the 30 grand, this is going to be a quicker payment. It's almost like when you get the lottery, you can get a cash lump sum immediately, or you can wait to get installment payments of a 10-year span and they'll pay you the full amount. It's almost like something like this. You either get the 30 grand up front, because that's the difference. You have to look at the speed in which you're getting the money, because to get 30 grand and wait the same amount of time that it takes me to get 200 grand, well, obviously I'm going to go for 200 grand. But the 30 grand is incentive for you to take it quickly and not have to deal with lawyers, not have to deal with going to doctor's offices, doing checkups, not going to work. Because lawsuits, people don't explain to you that it comes with work. You can't just file a lawsuit, sit at home, eat food, be chilling, and then you get paid. That's not how it works. You're going to have to do the checkups. You're going to have to go to the psychologist or psychiatrist. You're going to have to go to the physio, do a bunch of different things. Not getting paid. Like a bunch of whole different things. Of course, your lawsuit will be bigger if you do these things. And obviously, the numbers that you're looking at, if you do those things, are going to be way more than 30 grand. That's for sure. So it will be worth the time, let me tell you.
But I guess it's more of a battle of attrition. Are you able to...
It's a battle of attrition.
Yeah, are you able to withstand that time frame of trying to get the big money?
You in the that media time frame, future, in that time frame of the lawsuit, you're not getting paid.
Yeah,
you'll get that back pay, obviously, if you can survive. But it is a battle of attrition, as you said. So it's what can hold out longer. You know, like surviving while doing those things. Because mind you, if you're doing those things, how are you gonna work? If you said your back is fucked up, how are you gonna say? How are you gonna work? And don't think that they won't have investigators and stuff like that checking in, especially if you want a big check. You know, so you're gonna have to live a little bit of a paranoid lifestyle in terms of like what it is you could do, what you can't do. And if you're
because they could get a private detective on you,
that's a big lawsuit.
Yeah, just
right?
to make sure that you say everything that you said is happening to you is actually happening, and they'll try and find whatever way they can to just not pay you.
Absolutely. So you do have to be careful. Obviously, there's going to be damages. There's obviously emotional distress, and there's going to be physical, injuries that people have to deal with. But I mean, if 30 grand is offered on the table, I'm not saying that.
Would you take it?
For me, I'm not saying that. I wouldn't take it, but reason why I wouldn't take it, I'm in a different scenario. I've been experienced something similar to this. So I know what the worth of I know the worth of lawsuits. Where other people might not understand the worth of lawsuits and take the quick cash and make a dash for it. if I got in a, because I know what I know, if I got in that plane crash, there's no way I'm taking 30 grand. That's a slap in the face.
Oh, yeah.
From what I know, right? From personal experience.
Even from what I don't know, I still think it's a slap
but
in
some
the face.
people might think 30 grand. Like I just came to Canada. Like I just got my, you know, or 30 grand. 5 of my family members are in the plane with us.
Okay.
30 times 5. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's
true.
150.
I didn't even take that into account.
That's 150, and like, you know what I mean? Like,
you know, there's gonna be stipulations to that. You know,
like in the same household.
Yeah. It's like, well, only one person gets 30K.
No, they can't do that. But so then you go for your own lawsuit.
Okay,
that'd be way worse to do a lawsuit with the family than a lawsuit as an individual.
So you think it's gonna be like 30K per person?
100%. Only
so if you have kids.
There's only 21 people on in the plane.
Oh, okay. Damn. Okay.
You know, 21 times 30, it's okay. They spend what? That's not bad. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
All right. So, I mean, if you have a family with you,
like,
then
it's not bad for the airport to shell down that money because one person can cost like the cost of 10 of them, or not 10, but like 7 of them.
Yeah.
One person's lawsuit can be the cost of like 7 of them getting 30K. So you don't want to take that risk. But 2 people, they gave that offer, but still 2 people came out and did their own lawsuits. So what may happen is that they still will give the 30 grand to individuals that don't do the extra lawsuit. And then if you wanted to do your own legal representation or get somebody, a lawyer, you now take on your own action. So if you personally wanted, so that's what I'm saying. If you were in a personal situation, you're saying you would do the personal lawsuit and get your own lawyer and do all of that?
I think that would be, I would try and...
It comes with a lot. Like I said, the 30K, if you're ready to do what you need to do, and 30K is the one to throw you over the top, you go with the 30K.
But I mean, like, 30K
is not that much.
I mean, like, that can't even cover a year of expenses. You know what I mean?
It can cover a year of expenses for sure. 30K.
30K. I mean, I guess you have to evaluate. Did you get injured? Did you actually get injured? You got away, you know. If you can walk away with 30K, you're either going to go for a short vacation or you're going to put in investment.
The 30K is going to be burnt real quick.
It's going to be burnt really quickly.
The 10K is gone off enjoyment. 20K is invested.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like,
so 20K you say is invested.
That's 10K
is enjoyment.
If you're going to break it down like that, okay. I guess you can walk away with 30K and be like, whatever, I'll take it and leave it. I just don't want to go through the headache. I get it.
Yeah, see, it's the going through the headache part that people don't understand. And again, if you don't understand, you don't understand. You don't know. You can't just say, yeah, I would do it. You don't know what it takes to get a lawsuit and get big money out of it. You absolutely don't know. The lawsuit can take years.
Especially if you don't have a good lawyer. That makes it even worse.
And it could take years depending on what the lawsuit's based on, right? Like it might take you years to get your certain diagnostics, you know, available for you to even battle that lawsuit. It takes a while for these lawsuits to happen. So if you're willing to wait 3-4 years potentially to get your money, is it worth it? So say, for example, if it took you 3 years to get, say upwards of, if it took you 3 years to get 300K, or it takes you 3 months to get 30K, which would you do? I guess that's the question. But 3 years, you're not really working. You have to battle your lawsuit.
I'm not working legally. But, you know.
Allegedly.
But if I can figure out a way to still make money while I'm under the lawsuit, then I'm going to think about I'm going to go for
the 300 and the 3 years. For 3 to 5 years, I'll say 3 to 5 years, you're going for 300.
If I'm able to secure something on my own,
but how about for your job, you make 100K a year?
Okay. Well, if I didn't suffer any real damages, then it wouldn't really make sense because you've been benched. Being benched that long is like,
that's what I'm saying. So if you make money,
but it depends on the people.
But they're gonna argue, but you weren't working it, so like you made that money. But it's like, but you have to do stuff for the lawsuit. You're not just lounging around.
And money's still gonna be spent.
And money's still being spent in the time that you don't have it, and you lost opportunity,
you really
opportunity.
Do need you do need.
So you have to fight because that's the thing. If you're in a lawsuit, dude, you're not traveling, going places.
You're benched.
You're benched. You're not doing certain things. You're not living your life a normal way. away. So that's why I said for lawsuits, you have to be careful and know what you're putting yourself into. Because like I said, a big lawsuit like that might take years and it's benching you in certain things you can do. So just keep that in mind that they could use anything against you, right?
That's true.
Like they could use any evidence against you. And you trying to be covert, not posting on social media, you know how it goes. The whole, they tell you what you could do and can't do. So that paranoia, I think, might affect you. But it's just interesting that happened in Pearson Airport, man. It's a big lawsuit.
Right in our own backyard. Can you believe that?
I do wish I was on that plane and didn't severe any injury because you would see your boy with the bag.
But I'll tell you one thing. I don't think I'll ever go on the plane again after that.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing where the money can come in because, like, emotional, traumatic, never going to travel, got to take the train all the time.
But that's the thing, right? Because like, I'm already not a big fan of flying. So if
I flipped, we're out of here. Because imagine you fall out the cabin, bang your head. Buddy, you're all twisted upside down.
You're sweating.
Your heart's beating.
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
You're hysterical.
You're stuck. The oxygen mask comes out. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You never paid attention once for the emergency classes.
I don't even know how some of these guys were recording coming out, man.
Some people are recording.
They upside down. They pop the thing down and they come out. They got their phone out.
You're all messed up, buddy. You're all messed up.
Saying, hey, put the phone away. Come on, guys. We got to get you out of the plane.
And what do you do? You come off a plane like that. Like, what do? You go back to work? Oh, yeah, I just came off an upside-down plane.
That's what I mean. It's just like so much has happened in that time period. How do you go back? That's what I'm saying about the emotional distress.
It's a lot.
For you to go back to work, like, you don't get it. Like, you almost lost your life, sir.
That's what's insane about it.
Like, maybe you never seen it. Like, maybe you don't know. But there's psychological damage that has just occurred. There's distress. You just don't know.
But see, I guess it's interesting when we're talking about whether you take the big money and long-term weight or short-term and short money. I guess the logic would be short-term thinking versus long-term thinking.
We should ask a question on that. We should ask the audience a question on, like, would they go for the
short-term 30K or long-term? And again, it'll depend on your situation. It'll be determined by your situation, right? If you're broke and you need that 30 grand that gets you out of a lot of debt and stuff like that, yeah, you go for it. But I think realistically, go for gold. When it comes to these scenarios, go for gold, because at the end of the day, it's very unlikely that you're gonna be in these type of situations
again in your life.
And if you don't take advantage, you're always going to regret what you could have got, especially if there's money that's on the table for you. I think you always should go for it, but understand it comes with a lot of hardship, uphill battles, with seeing doctors, therapists, et cetera, et cetera. Just know that that's part of the job. That's part of what you're signing up for. That's your new job.
So that is the question. The question is, for the audience, will you take 30K and run with it, which you could get it immediately within the same year?
No strings attached. A blank check for 30 grand.
30 grand, but you can't talk about your lawsuit ever to anybody. You can't end up trying. You can't try and sue them. You can't come back. Mind you, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So there's that. Or you can spend 3 to 5 years
gambling, because it
is a gamble. You don't know what you're gonna get, but it's gonna be more than 30K. But the flip side is you can't work legally. So now you're gonna have to make that decision. Which one would you choose?
Again, that's a good question. But like I said, my opinion, you always go for the long-term deal. Long-term deal will secure you more than a short-term deal, no matter which way you look at it. The short-term will benefit you for exactly what it's meant for. Short-term. It'll benefit you for that year, that 30K, a year or two, and then that will be put where it needs to be put, but it'll be depleted if you're using it. It's not that much money. Like you said, it could cover your bills for only 1 year.
Yes.
That's the only amount it could cover. If it was going to cover any bills, it can cover, like, say, your shelter for a year or more, right?
I'll give you investment money.
I'll
get you started. It's a starter pack.
It'll get you on your feet.
Yeah, it's a starter pack for sure.
With 30 grand, it'll definitely
you can pay whatever debt
it'll definitely get you on your feet, like, for whatever situation you know. It'll get people standing, definitely. If you're on your knees, hand to hand, or from hand to mouth or whatever, it'll definitely get you up there. But it's just interesting. Depends your scenario again, where you're willing to take something. But I did want to talk about, let's just get into sports quickly. We had the All-Star game pass not too long ago, as you know, the All-Star game's been boring. It's not something I watch. All-Star NBA game, is that something you watch?
Oh my God. I mean,
When's the last time you watched that?
Ever since COVID, everything that has to do with sport, everything that just has to do with sports in general has been lost. And I think I used to like heavily follow the NBA in terms of understanding people, like
stats, players,
stats, players, where they are on the standing board.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to the playoffs, what positions they're in. I used to keep track of the whole nine, but now after COVID, and you realize, well, the thing is, even before COVID, I was watching mainly highlights and just sum up the games and stuff of that. So, but I don't even do that anymore.
Yeah, you're just sick of it.
I'm just so sick of it. You know, it's the same thing every year. Everyone's always going to be chasing a championship every year. People are gonna be crying about it and why they didn't get it, but then they have to come back next year and battle again. Honestly, to be fair,
I'm tired
of the same script, and also regular season doesn't mean anything because playoffs, everything changes. You see a team that's in 8th place somehow manages to get to the finals. Then you're like, okay, so what the hell was the whole regular season about? Fighting for positioning. What was that about?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Is like the same thing when Kawhi hit the game winner in Toronto. You know, Toronto. I'm a Toronto fan by default, being in Toronto, just watching the Raptors go from where they started to the end. But just like with that game, like I never watched that live game. Yeah. I never watched it from start to finish. Not
me either.
I seen it after.
That was recorded. I still felt the same energy.
I still felt the same energy. Like, God, like that was crazy. Like, obviously, if it was live, it's a little bit better. But what's the difference at the end of the day? And that's the difference with like having YouTube and stuff. They fast forward the game too. That's what kills a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
Because you sum up the game quick. Where it's like, I can just watch the highlights. If I don't see the scores, I'll see the highlights. And then it's still gonna, I'm not going to know who won.
I mean, yeah, but to be fair, what are we watching the game for? The highlight moments. So if somebody sums up the game in the highlight moment, it's like when you're watching first quarter, you're just basically trying to see, okay, let me see how the tempo starts.
Yeah, but
like what does the middle doesn't count for anything.
But that's why well, again, you're right. You don't need to watch the game. And it's kind of funny, like you literally have sports analysts that break down the game for you, tell you exactly what happened.
That too.
Then they show you the highlights while they're explaining it. They're literally telling you what happened and they're showing you the exact highlights of how it happened. Why did I need to watch the game? Actually, what I would used to do, if I woke up in the morning, you put like score, like
that too.
You put the score app on. They show you all the highlights from the day
they tell you how much they scored.
They tell you how much they scored. Tell you exactly the breakdown of the game. Remember, they used to show that all the time. All the highlights on TSN, that's where they showed it. And they show you all the highlights and you're like, oh, okay, perfect. I seen all the highlights for the game. Buddy had a dunk of the year candidate. This guy hit a buzzer beater. That went to triple overtime. This player scored 50 points.
Now, why would
I figured it all out. I'm not watching games at the same time.
Conversation I would have in the general public with people, I would know the same information as the person that watched the game. What does it matter?
What does it really matter? But it's funny because it's killing the ratings as well. So like I said about the All-Star game, I don't watch that no more because it's all been gimmicky, celebrity game, rookies versus this and that, all type of different formats.
I didn't even know that the All-Star game happened last weekend until after the fact.
Yeah.
Like it's like I seen it on like TikTok.
You got deprogrammed from COVID.
Oh yeah, I got so deprogrammed. I'm like, wait, what? I never heard nothing about it.
And LeBron,
and where was he even located at? Like I didn't even know.
In where Golden State is, so Oakland,
California.
San Francisco.
San Francisco, sorry.
But it's in Oakland, California.
I
think is one of those, Oakland, like Bay Area.
Yeah, Bay Area, yes.
I think it was Oakland. I don't know. Wherever. But point of the matter is that LeBron didn't play. Last second dropout.
Oh, really?
And it's funny because they're doing like a group photo and they just show him. He's in regular clothing. Everyone's in the jersey and Buddy's in regular clothes. I'm like, what's going on with LeBron? Is this retirement year? Like, this to me is signified. Like, why are you coming in regular dress clothing for the photo shoot where everyone's wearing a jersey? I kind of looked at that as strange, and he dropped out last second. He said his leg was, his ankle was bothering him. He's an older statesman, obviously, but found
they give him leniency.
Yeah, they give him leniency. I mean, the All-Star game, people were criticizing him over that, saying they should give his spot to somebody, which was ridiculous. Why would he give his spot up?
He's an old statesman. He's the older statesman.
He's the most popular player in the league today. So why would you not leave him in? Like, the NBA
First
is
of all,
not
he's
that
one of the
dumb.
oldest players in the league. Second of all, he's a legend in the league.
He's the most popular player in the league.
Most popular
he sells
in
the
the
most jerseys. It doesn't matter. He's the most popular player by jersey sales.
Yeah.
Simple. Done.
Him and his
Let
son.
alone his own skill set.
Yeah.
But and his son. Like you said, he's too profitable to not have him in a game and put who?
Basketball is a business. Everybody thinks it's just about the game. It's not about the game. It's about profits.
That's why Bronny plays on his dad's team. Like,
they want to see LeBron. Even if he's not playing, they want to go and see him. At least they can have a conversation with him or something of that sort. But he needs to be in the building. He's still an active player. They want to see him in the building. It's not about, there's better players. It doesn't matter. We're here to make money.
Okay, so there's a story going on. So there was this Foreign Nations Cup going on, which is now switching over to NHL. Like I said, it's not sports podcast, but we wanted to get into this because it's important to those that to watch sports, listen to sports. So here's the thing. They have this Foreign Nations Cup. And it's basically like almost like a exhibition kind of tournament.
Okay.
And there are these different teams. But anyways, Canada and US were the main juggernauts of this tournament. They ended up versing each other in the finals. Canada ended up winning 3-2. And like, again, they brought so much hype because even I seen it through
it was
social
big.
media.
It was big
a lot
on,
of hype
on
because Canada
TikTok.
versus US is always going to be big. And Canadians are known to be hockey guys where US want that title.
Yeah.
So you knew it was going to be a big game. Anyways, Canada comes out on top. And then all these, sports analysts are talking about this, how popular it was, how much viewership. They got a lot of viewership.
I did not know that.
For hockey. Hockey doesn't get the same viewership as like NBA, but for hockey, it was a spike. So they're saying like, this is the format that you should go with. So PK Subban, which is actually from Toronto again, a lot of Toronto connections today.
Yeah.
PK Subban, former hockey player, Jamaican descent. He was criticizing the NBA for, superstars being kind of being like divas, not wanting to play when they're injured, not giving effort, et cetera, et cetera. And he's saying how hockey, they play with more passion. People are ready to fight. People are ready to take a puck to the face. People are more passionate about the game. And that's where the NBA lacks because people are getting paid a lot. So they start to get a little lackadaisical when it comes to events of that nature. So what do you think in terms of just like being like an individual person and like say for example, the NBA has a lot of people that make a lot of money, have individual brands and stuff like that. And the hockey doesn't have that type of culture where people have individual brands and are that popular. So what's your thoughts on like you having more power as a player, kind of dictating how things go when you have more power as a player compared to where the organization or the passion leads you? What do you think is more beneficial for you overall? Would you rather play the game because the passion of the game and for the fans, or individually it's a job, like you're here to get paid and you're just going to do your obligations because I'm working? This is not for charity. This is for actual.
So what I was going to say was that for me personally, I believe PK Subban, he's a company man. That's what you call company man. Because they're always there to defend the company, defend the corporation, and tell you how you're supposed to be working, how things are supposed to be going. And you're not doing your job to the fullest. You're not working as hard. Even if you have a broken leg, you should be able to show up at work and be the best that you can be.
He did say that.
But this is what I'm talking about.
He did say that.
Only a company man would say something like that. When at the end of the day, if you understand that you're working in a corporation, you're working in a company that's making money off you, hello, sir.
Yeah.
And your likeness, off jersey sales, off even the sticks that you use and stuff of that sort. They got all these type of products. They got people coming into these stadiums and they're paying for seats and stuff of that sort. I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about my health. I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about how am I going to sustain my living? How am I going to sustain the longevity of my career rather than worried about what the company wants and why you're not playing today. That's not my biggest concern, sir. I'm thinking about how am I going to feed my family for the years to come. So I do understand why basketball players would say certain things because, again, we've seen how Luka got traded from Dallas Mavericks, how he was the staple and he was a young player, young talent that was coming up in Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
And Luka Doncic, they shipped him away because they had other plans for the organization.
Yeah, regardless of how passionate
he was about
they
the
had
Mavs.
their own plans of their own team and what they wanted to do.
Exactly. So, but now on the flip side, now if they were all about the players, if they're all about the organization, and let's say Luka was their future, and Luka decided, oh, you know what, I don't want to play in Dallas Mavericks. It's gonna cause a shitstorm.
LeBron special.
Exactly.
It's gonna be a LeBron special.
Exactly.
His owner's gonna curse him to the day he dies.
Of course, the fans are gonna curse him. They're gonna be burning jerseys. They're gonna say this guy's a traitor. He's this. They're gonna be booing him
voodoo,
when he comes in. So you know what I mean? It's a double standard. When the corporation wants you to work like a workhorse or a donkey, they're gonna say, "Oh, yeah, this guy's a traitor. He's this. He's that. He just doesn't want to help the organization out." So honestly, I can't buy into that rhetoric.
The reason I can't buy into that is because Kevin Durant was a perfect example. Again, in Toronto. Again, the Toronto references are crazy.
Oh, yeah. He
comes back to the finals with being hurt or injured. And what does he do? He comes for 15 minutes and tears his Achilles, I'm pretty sure. I forgot what the injury was.
It was Achilles
tear.
He said he wasn't ready too.
He wasn't ready. The organization wanted him to do it. And let's just say that was his last time as a Golden State Warrior.
Yep.
It was over after that.
That was that.
He played injured and he tried to do the passionate thing that this goof is talking about, but that doesn't pay the bills because, again, he was injured and that derailed his career to a certain extent. He changed teams, he changed his whole situation, and he may have been a third time, definitely a third time in that year.
Had he have sat down, he would have been in better standings.
In better standings in the future.
He would have came back the following season. He wouldn't have been out as long as he was. He would have came back the following season healthy and then continue what he was doing. And that just goes to show you that, they want you to play under the most ridiculous of situations.
Yes, but again, people downplay sports. They try to, make sports seem like it's easy. And what I've realized with playing sports as I've, at this age, and I'm not that old, but at the end of the day, in sports, I would be getting to either I'd be in my prime right now, but I'm getting to the elder statesman point. I'm possibly just passing my prime or just leaving the prime at this point. And just to put things in perspective, your body's banged up even when you're not that grown, doing little stuff, even if you're active and you're doing stuff. So let's not downplay what it is athletes go through, especially when they have injuries and stuff like that people don't know about. When's the last time you tore your Achilles? When the last time you tore your ACL? How do you know what that feels like? Yeah,
and even the recovery process of coming back, and then them expecting you to come back in there, psychologically being fine.
Don't get me wrong, PK Subban, he's an athlete, so he can speak on in terms of injuries and stuff like that, and playing through injuries. I can't speak on that because he actually played the game, so he knows what he's talking about, but I still believe that you have to protect your bottom line. It's your career at the end of the day.
I'm just saying that not all athletes are as passionate as
but like I said, passion is
that doesn't pay the
secondary thing.
That
You're doing the job.
Yeah.
Exactly. Passion is a secondary thing because if you're hurt, you shouldn't play. It's not if you're hurt. If you're injured, you shouldn't play, and you have to know how to evaluate that. You can't just be passionate because a lot of the time players would play against their better counsel. You see what I'm saying? Someone will tell you, no, you're not healed yet. They go play and then the results come out. So that's what I'm saying. You can't let your passion overtake your logic and rationality when it comes to being used by a corporation. You're working for somebody. You're not working for yourself. For yourself, you have to do whatever it takes to get what you need. When you work for someone else, you have to operate within the rules. And if it's in the rules, you take advantage of the rules if it benefits you. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to speak on that. And then, because I know the viewership was going down, people are not really paying attention. Storylines aren't there. That's why I wanted to bring that up of, him just comparing the NHL to the NBA, just saying that, the NBA is doing the wrong thing. So
Speaking of that, quickly touch on the other thing that you were gonna mention about the difference between hockey and let's say basketball.
And yeah, I wanted to talk about that. So me and you were having a conversation, and I kind of was watching the Canada versus USA game, and they had like in a couple minutes they already started fighting. This is Canada versus USA. In a couple minutes, they had like four fights. Like they had like 4 fights in that game, like just off the bat. Like in hockey, where I don't even understand. You can start the game with the fight.
Just a fight. How does that work?
You can start the game and drop the gloves. Does that make sense?
That makes absolutely
You can go to just fight. Like, that's insane. Like, there's no sport where you can just do that. Start a fight.
There's no sport, actually.
There's no sport. How can you just start a fight? I don't even get that.
Just,
off of nothing.
I don't like you.
Off of something you said a different game or setting the tone early.
And that's setting the tone early. That is crazy.
So that's crazy that you have enforcers like that, bully guys.
And it's allowed.
And it's allowed. Part of the game. No problems with it. Which I was looking at that. I'm like, damn. Like, and then I'm watching NBA and I seen Kevin Durant barking at Chris Paul. And Chris Paul just saying like, oh, I know him. And Kevin Durant's like, what do you know about me? What do you know about me? And he's like swearing and stuff, right? He's like, you don't know me. And they both got like technicals for something like that. They're just talking.
Yeah.
And they both got like texts for something like that. And I'm like, wait. You're giving these guys technical fouls, which are like, you know, shooting fouls. So you score a basket, potentially get possession. And in hockey, this is allowable. So I was just looking at the difference between the two leagues and optics. When they see hockey players fight, hockey is obviously majority Caucasians.
Yep.
NBA, obviously majority African Americans. That's what it is, right?
Yep.
When you see in hockey them fighting, I feel like the optics doesn't lean towards violence after the game. The optics doesn't lead towards I hardly can say what it leans towards because I believe, honestly, when hockey players fight, I believe people in the fans will fight as well. Like the people in the stadium will be enticed to fight as well, right?
Yep.
But when I notice when it comes to like black sports, especially if it's majority black or African Americans in the sport, they're quick to pull the plug on any potential situations that may occur. So they make it very strict in terms of fighting, in terms of, you know, even taunting. I mean, you stare at a guy, you got a technical foul, right? They try and take out all forms of intimidation in sports that are usually predominantly black. And I wondered what the reason was. And then I was just thinking of households that watch sports. You know, sports supposed to be family friendly, and I think they honestly believe that with black folks fighting on TV, it would actually generate less ratings for those predominantly black sports, especially watched by different cultures, because they don't want to invite that type of rhetoric in their household. But I believe that's due to stereotypes.
Yes, I was about to say that. I think a lot of other ethnicities are already intimidated of black people.
Yes.
So when you do see them fighting in a sports situation, that makes them even more intimidated in terms of the aggression of the black man.
Yes.
And now when they see them out on the streets, they don't know what the possibilities are and what they're capable of.
So yes, I think that's the thing. So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think that's a bad thing in a sense.
They're blocking out, you know, these men from looking a certain way, which we can say, right? Because they might be viewed a certain way. If fighting was allowed, a more negative view would be put on these players, right? If they can fight casually. But when you don't allow them to fight, you don't allow that negativity to be there. So what would you say is better? To not allow them to fight so you preserve the game for the game? Because hockey, people fighting, it is ridiculous to me. Like, you know.
I don't think you need to necessarily fight, but bare minimum, like talking and taunting and like talking and staring at somebody.
Yeah, I think they're way too much over the top.
Over the top. Yeah. Over the top. I'm not saying fist fighting.
Even swearing at people. I think that's, you know, technical.
I think there should be a level of understanding that it's a game. It's going to be heated. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be competitive. And people are going to talk shit. They're going to stare down. They're gonna dunk on somebody and hang on the rim and scream and stuff like that. I think those are things that people enjoy. They want to see that. they want to show.
But I feel like they
dominance.
police everything.
But they are policing. I believe they are policing a lot of black sports and that level
for
of
expression and a lot of different things too.
In terms
not
of
just
expression,
fighting, not just because I don't want to make it like we're advocating for black sports to fight.
No,
I don't think it's
they're
just
just
fighting.
policing
I think
any
level of aggression.
Well, any level of competition where your emotions are shown.
Yes,
they're policing that.
Yeah, and I think it takes away from the reality of the game.
It does take away from the reality of sports and the intensity and the competition that is actually ongoing in those situations. So I do believe that they should definitely just chill out, relax, tranquilo, papi. Tranquilo.
That's it. You know? So, anyways, let's just get to our final thoughts on if you have any word of the day or for the podcast that you would use to describe it. What would you say?
I would say turbulent, and the reason why I would say turbulent is because we came off a turbulent week. It was very cold.
Yeah,
right. So this is after the snowstorm. So it's like we got hit. We got a double whammy with the snowstorm, which you got hit with a 25 centimeter, then you get hit with a 25 to 35 centimeter of snow, and your car's buried. Cars are still buried right now outside, and then you get hit with like extreme cold, which freezes the snow, and now cars that are buried are definitely not coming out until the weather starts to warm up because they can't even dig it out because the snow's not even good enough to. It's so strong that digging it out would be a hard task in itself. So I'll just say turbulent because of all that happened, and then at the same time, Delta airplane flipping in Toronto, Pearson Airport, just to tell you how cold it is and how much snow and how bad the situation was in this goddamn city, man. And this is why you need to get the hell out of here because, which I'm working on the plan.
Working on it every day.
Getting out of here, working on the master plan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Even me, I would say, the word of the day, you said turbulent, which was great. This is a hard one. I think I'd say embrace.
Huh?
Because I think you have to like embrace yourself for certain things to happen. Like things can get out of control quickly. Like you said, you have to embrace yourself for the worst too. Like we said, the plane crash. You have to embrace your situation. Sometimes you can be in a terrible scenario, right? But I think life is about embracing certain things, the snowstorms, dealing with a lot of ups and downs just in life. I think you have to be able to embrace what comes good, what comes bad. You just have to embrace it and then try to ascend from all your scenarios you're in.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I definitely thought the podcast was really good. And we're going to keep coming back every day. I just feel like we keep getting practice reps. Every time we come in here, we do a podcast. It keeps getting better and better. And we're not going to stop. You're going to keep seeing us, keep developing, keep growing, keep enhancing the podcast. And then we're going to change it up here and there, topics, make some stuff controversial. Some stuff are going to be about sports. Some stuff are going to be about pop culture. It's not going to necessarily be all about relationships at this point. But I think as we go along, we'll find ourselves and see how far this podcast really goes.
That's it.
And this is Far From Normal, and we are out.
Deuces. Peace.